Hi, I'm Zach.
And I'm Brandon.
And we're the Bourbon Bros.
All right, Zach, we got a lot of whiskey in front of us. It looks like a big challenge. What do we got going on here?
It looks like we have 8 different bottles here, according to the numbers.
And the numbers are in.
Yes, the numbers are in. I had no idea what these bourbons are. Can you kind of tell us, maybe what we're moving into today?
Yeah, so we got this crazy idea inspired by some of our fellow YouTubers last March Madness of kind of a blind tasting elimination style tournament. And really the idea here is we want to determine which of our store pick collection is the best store pick that we own.
Yeah. So kind of excited to see out of the stores maybe who did the best picking.
We're gonna come into this completely blind. We don't know what's in 1 or what's in 6. Mm-hmm. Bourbon Babe did all that for us off camera. We're just going to use our nose and our palate to determine which is the best.
Yeah, and so basically we're going to move just like a classic bracket would work. It's a single elimination. Everything's going to be head to head. We're going to take down notes off screen, but then we're going to come back on and give you, our opinion on what we thought of each individual taste.
These bourbons. Well, it's exciting. I think we should jump into it.
Excellent. Let's do it.
Round 1.
Found it.
We got done with the first bit of our tasting here. Why don't you let them know? Let's start with number 1.
I felt like both of them were kind of low on my ranking scale of what I like.
Yeah, they weren't bad necessarily, but they weren't world beaters.
No, they weren't the worst. They were. I think the biggest problem is
a kind of saying they weren't very good.
Yes, yeah, these stores we're gonna have to look at. Let's talk about my nose and taste.
What were your notes on the first bourbon?
Yeah, so the first bourbon, number 1, I got a vanilla off the nose. I got slight ethanol, not a whole lot of ethanol. It was very easy on the nose, actually. It felt just almost like a sniffing air. Yep. But I also got maybe a little bit of citrus, like maybe some orange in there after a few sniffs. Taste-wise for that, I thought it was spicy. I didn't think it was hot, warm.
Peppery.
But peppery, yeah. It made my tongue tingle. Yep. I had definitely a tongue tingling, and I think I had some oak in there and some cinnamon.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just quickly run my notes. I'm the same one here. So I got cinnamon on the nose, grilled peaches. I kind of picked up.
Grilled peaches.
Grilled peaches.
I don't know if I've had a grilled peach.
I don't know if I have either, but if you can imagine grilling a peach, that's kind of what I was picking up there.
Okay.
Because I felt like there was a little bit of smokiness, but nothing that was super distinct.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of butterscotch.
Okay.
And then on the palate, like you said, black pepper on the tongue right away, hits you right off the bat. Yeah. And then just a little bit of caramel finish, a little bit of caramel sweetness on the back end. What about number 5? Let's step into number 5, our second bourbon. This was kind of an oddball.
Yeah, this one was just an outlier to me. So nose-wise, and might be a little weird, it kind of smelled like a wet sock to me. It smelled like a wet
musty.
sock. Okay. It was a little musty. But
yeah.
It was specific. Yeah. This sock's dirty. It's something that you're walking in the park and for some reason someone's sock's out there and it's been rained on. It's not good.
It's really specific. Zach evidently sniffs wet socks in the park, so...
So that, and then also, I felt like I was kind of picking up some raisin. Something in that ballpark. Raisin, date, something in there. I think that's where maybe some of the sweetness came through. And I think with the taste, I got some nutty sweetness to it on the aftertaste.
Okay.
I could relate it to like a nut. Say you don't have sweets, but then you are eating the different types of nuts like almonds and whatnot, and you kind of some are a little sweeter. That's kind of how I got it. It wasn't a lot of sweet, wasn't abrupt. It was just a little bit. But the other part on the tasting I had was it kind of reminded me of bread and a yeasty bread, maybe like a sourdough.
Yeah, I agree. So this was definitely a heartier, more savory bourbon. It caught us both off guard. I think we looked at each other and said, what the hell is this?
I almost laughed.
Is this a scotch? What's going on? No, definitely unique. So my notes here are charred mesquite and pepper jerky on the nose.
Oh.
It was kind of savory, and that pepper jerky, if you pull open that beef jerky bag and stuck your nose in it.
I agree.
It's kind of an odd smell. The palate, I picked up clove, leather, and burnt biscuit. So kind of that yeasty, but a little bit, again, that smokiness was just
That's interesting.
So prominent. And then I couldn't really distinctly pick out a sweetness, so I just picked graham cracker. Not the awesome cinnamon sugar covered kind.
No.
Just a regular basic crust of graham cracker there.
It's interesting that we both kind of hit that breadiness on the palate. The scores are in. We've added up our numbers.
So we went with number 1.
Number 1.
Whatever number 1 is.
What?
Just kind of edged it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, not by a lot, but certainly had a little distinct advantage. A lot more bourbony.
A lot more bourbony compared to 5, for sure. Totally agree.
You've got bottle number 2 and bottle number 6. Let's see who comes out ahead on this one.
Hopefully these ones aren't as weird as the last ones.
Yeah, kind of interesting to kick off the first round here. So.
I'm hoping for better.
Yeah, let's see where we're at.
What'd you think? What were your thoughts on 2?
Yeah, so firstly, head and shoulders, in my opinion, above the last round.
Oh, for sure. Yep.
Yeah, these guys were definitely standouts. We'll see how far they go, or how far at least one of them goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll start with number 2 here. So for number 2, I picked up on the nose, leather, candied cherry, and mint.
Interesting. Okay.
There's something just kind of fresh about this one. A little bit thinner to me. On the palate, honey, rye spice, and again, spearmint, especially on the back end. But
Spearmint.
Specifically spearmint.
Oh, you're really getting a minty come
Yeah,
through there. Huh?
it really was.
Interesting.
What about you?
Okay, so for my number 2, I feel like we kind of got different things.
Okay.
Like really different. Because spearmint and what I'm thinking is just not in the same realm. So I was getting that caramel nose off of this.
Okay.
I felt like it was going to be, it almost smelled like it was going to be a savory taste.
Did not get that.
Yeah.
I got the opposite of that.
Yeah, maybe we had to remember. I don't know. So taste-wise, it gave me that tongue tingle again, but not as much as the last tongue tingle one that we had.
Okay.
But it was nice. I don't know. I appreciate that tongue tingle a little bit more than like that heat. Salted caramel kind of came across to me. It was caramely, like that caramel with the nose came through, but it was also that savory with that salt. So I wouldn't say regular caramel, salted caramel, and then a kind of like a dark chocolate at the end on that finish.
Bitter.
Yeah, and I would say overall the finish kind of gave me like a sweet and spicy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's jump into number 6 here.
Number 6.
All right. So on the nose, all the way through actually with this one, I picked up just fruit. A lot of fruit.
Okay.
And so starting off, dried pineapple, like the kind of pineapple you get in like a trail mix.
Sure. Yep. I think we're on the same page.
Some charred oak, and then a little bit of toasted almond on the nose.
Okay. Good.
And then on the palate, again, very fruit forward. Raspberries came to mind. Right on the tip of the tongue, raspberries. Fresh raspberries.
Okay.
A little pecan pie, I'd say, in the mid-mouth.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of raisin finish. So like I said, just a lot of fruit going on in this second one.
Yeah, so I also felt very similar to that, but it felt more artificial. Like it didn't not in a super bad way. I think this one grew on me, and I feel like it grew on you as well over the tasting. But to me, on the nose, I was getting like when you walk into like a Hobby Lobby and you kind of smell that smell, and you see all those flowers all the time in those fake flowers in Hobby Lobby, and it has like almost like an allspice smell.
Okay, like a potpourri.
Yeah, like a potpourri kind of thing. I was also getting some like bitter citrus off of the nose.
Okay.
And then I was also just getting some spiciness. Taste-wise, my first initial thought on taste was like lavender. Like a lavender,
okay.
almost
softer.
Like a candle burning lavender.
Okay.
And then that allspice came through on that taste. And then finish, I felt like the finish was actually almost perfect. Like it was nice and long, and it had a nice little hug to it.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So we tallied them up, and surprisingly, at least off the jump, we weren't expecting this, but number 6, number 6 came through as our winner for round 2 here.
Which was a huge oddball because when we first took our initial sips, we looked at each other, and I think we knew that number 6 wasn't going to be it.
Yeah, and after a little bit of time to reflect and digest, number 6 prevailed.
All right.
All right, on to the next round.
There we go. We are on to round number 3, which we're going to take number 3 and number 7 and go head to head here. Ready to begin?
Yeah, let's jump in.
Let's jump in.
All right, Zach, coming out of the grading, this was by far the most difficult we've had yet.
This was really tough. These were both great head-to-head bourbons. Very similar. This round was the most similar compared to the last couple rounds.
It came down to a last-second shot for sure. So much so that we ended up with a tied score on both these bourbons. Before we tell them about who's moving forward and how we got to that decision, you want to go over your notes quick?
Yeah. So for me, the nose of number 3, I felt like it was like a very subtle vanilla I was smelling. I felt like both these really just needed some character, actually. In my honest opinion, I felt like both of these kind of lacked depth, but I feel like subtle vanilla in the nose, Nothing strong. Taste-wise, it had a nice spice to it, and I tasted a little bit of oakiness, which I appreciate. And the finish I felt was kind of like a medium coat on my palate, which I think that's something that I really like in bourbon that I'm learning is like something that coats my palate. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I don't know that I agree with everything you said there, but I do think that they were so similar that it was hard to discern what was unique about each one. Sure. I think if they were probably on their own, they might stand out a little differently.
For sure.
So for 3, I got maple syrup on the nose, and what I thought really hit home was oatmeal raisin cookie. I thought it was just spot on with the scent.
Interesting.
As far as the palate goes, definitely got that rye spice, a little bit of pepper tingle on the tongue. Picked up some licorice, and then on the back end, just like a little bit of nougat.
Nougat, huh?
Yeah, some
Interesting.
nougat. Yep.
Okay.
What about the number 7? What'd you pick up for
Number
that?
7, nose-wise, I was definitely getting some oak. It smelled, after smelling it for a while and really kind of thinking about it, because I felt like both of these were real subtle, it almost smelled like rain, like fresh rainfall when you step outside and you can smell the rain. Taste-wise, this one was like uber smooth for the finish. It lingered, but it was just so smooth. There was not a lot of heat to it. It brought very minimal amount of heat. I also tasted a little bit of vanilla and just a little bit of light spice on there.
Okay, all right. So I got brown sugar on the nose, a blackberry cobbler,
okay,
and some nutmeg.
I don't know about
kind of round off the nose there. On the taste, on the palate, definitely. Again, they were both rye, so I picked up that hay flavor a little more prominent on this one. Not a lot of sweetness on the palate.
No, I feel like neither of these brought a lot of sweetness.
I think the first one was a little sweeter, but I agree. Neither were overly sweet.
Yeah.
Some dry oak, and then a little bit of orange peel because it had kind of a bitter oakiness to it.
Right.
But I'll comment on this because you said it. I thought this was just a very smooth drink on number 7 there. So
yeah.
I thought that was the thing that would put it over the edge, but ultimately we came up with the same score, 3 and 7.
Yeah.
Exact tie. We had to go into sudden death. We pulled Bourbon Babe into the room to do the sniff test. She sniffed 3, she sniffed 7, and ultimately 3 prevailed. So 3 is going to move on. Corey thought that 3 was the better of the 2, and that's going to be our deciding factor, number 3 there, moving on to the next round of the competition.
Number 3 is moving on in the bracket. Round number 3 done and dusted. We're on to round 4.
Final round.
Is it the final?
Yeah, final.
Oh, yeah,
final C to the first round.
Final C of the first round. We have number 4 and number 8 going head to head. Shall we start tasting?
We should. All right, Zach, we're wrapping it up. End of round 4. Let's come in with some notes and figure out who's going on to the next round.
All right, excellent. So for number 4, I had on the nose, which was kind of weird because my nose and my taste didn't match up on this one. So nose was, I kind of got a fresh cut grass, lemon, honey. I got those kind of flavors out of the nose.
Yep.
Taste-wise, the only thing that kind of carried over from that nose was the honey. I felt like honey was the sweet part of this bourbon. It kind of, the taste to me felt creamy almost.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think it had a nice warmth to it.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll hop into mine. My nose, I picked up molasses, cinnamon, and toasted marshmallow. And on the flavor, apricot, orange gummy candy, and burnt toast.
Burnt toast?
Burnt toast.
Okay.
I was trying to pick up that
That's
dryness.
really strong smell, I feel like.
Yeah, on the flavor I picked that up. Certainly didn't get that on the nose, but on the palate.
Okay. Interesting.
Yep. What about the number 8? What are you getting there?
This one on the nose, I also got honey. I got a really strong oak smell with this one.
Yep.
I almost related it to, like, the smoke was so strong, I almost related it to like a cigar smoke of some sort that I like. I don't know. I just got a quick sniff and I was like, oh, this smells like a nice cigar almost. Yeah. Taste-wise, I got oaky in the smokiness. That came through. It definitely came through on the finish, I felt like.
Yeah.
And then I had like a dark honey for the sweet. Not like a light honey, like more of a dark honey. Or you could even think like light brown sugar to dark brown sugar kind of aspect. Sure. More of a heavier like molasses. And then I also got a light tingle on the taste as well.
Okay. Tip of the tongue. So on the nose for me, I got a buttered caramel. If you can imagine it, put it in a pan,
Okay.
Warm them up. That's what I got.
All right.
All right.
Buttered caramel.
A bit of plum, and burnt ends. Like you said, that smokiness really came. On the palate, I really only picked up a couple things here. I did also pick up the honey, but I also picked up like red grapes, and that was the first thing I tasted.
Interesting. Like red grapes where you get like tannins or?
So both. A little bit of sweetness, but then also just kind of that nice dryness as well.
Oh, interesting.
And then I said that this was a very well-rounded, kind of a smoother bourbon number 2.
Yeah. Yeah, this feels like something I want to sit in like a leather chair, you know, and just sip on.
Yep. Yeah, very mature whiskey. Yeah. Ultimately, number 8 was our higher graded, and it actually wasn't as close as I thought it would be. But number 8 is going to move on for the next round.
All right, cool. This is all of the first round, correct?
This is it. We made it through all 4 of the seeds here.